So, Elisa, I'll just give a little intro
Hmm.
for everybody here and the recording. I think pretty much everybody knows me. Jordan Kelk, I work for Guild Mortgage, one of the best mortgage companies out there. I've been doing originating loans for about 4 or 5 years now. I used to be an engineer beforehand, and the only reason I say that is because I am a very detail-oriented loan officer. I like to go over the numbers, all the statistics. And one of the things that I'm seeing is it's probably going to be another busy spring market. And when we look at the number of people over 6% for a mortgage rate in the US, it's more than people under 3% now. But the people under 3%, they're going to be looking to buy houses, especially as rates come down. And they're going to have all their cash tied up in their houses. So this program is going to be a game changer to help them move as smoothly as possible, get top dollar for their listing. And so I'm like, let's do this. Let's get this out there. And if it helps you guys even find one more buyer, one more seller this year, then we've done our job to help you grow your business as well. So really that's the high level behind why we're here today doing this. I have worked with other cash buyer programs and things like that. They can be clunky. I'll admit that, which is why I never really did a whole lot in the past. Knock makes all of those inefficiencies, I'll say, kind of go away. It's very simple. And Elisa, he's my kind of counterpart at Knock, who will be doing the bridge loan. We're going to work hand in hand. And I'll let him kind of explain what the bridge loan program is, how we're going to use it, and how we're going to help you guys find more buyers and sellers with it as well.
Thank you, Jordan. That was great. Guys, my name is Olisa. If we haven't met, I'm the senior wholesale account executive here at Knock. Similar to Jordan, I have a background in lending as well before I came to Knock. So not only do I have a deep appreciation for what you guys all do, I'm cognizant of some of the challenges like Jordan just mentioned out there. So I'm excited to showcase this solution because it is going to be a great way. I know for a fact you'll help you differentiate yourself, win more business, and get more of your clients into their new home in a faster, smoother, and cost-effective way, because that's important too. So we're going to cover how it all works. I'm going to go over the basics, use cases, qualifications, and then I'm actually going to show you what Jordan sees from his view when you guys send clients over to him. It's imperative that anytime you have a client that wants to buy a new house but has to sell, that you reach out to Jordan because he could let you know upfront if it's even an avenue that's worth pursuing because he could give you real numbers right up front. So I'll show you how that works and then we'll open it up for questions. So unless there's any questions right now, I'll just jump right in. Cool. Let's go. So what knock is that how we work is that we're just partnering with lenders and agents like yourself to give your clients access to those funds that are often tied up in their home. So just a quick show of hands, let me know if you've ever had one of these scenarios. Have you ever had a client that wants to buy a new house but was unable to move forward because they're contingent and they're losing out on offers? Or what about those clients that can't qualify with both mortgages? Or this is an agent favorite, when a client wants to buy a new house, but because they've lived in their house for a million years, there's no way it's going to sell for top dollar with them still living there. So whatever the scenario is, the Knockbridge zone is going to be a great complement for you for what you're already doing, because we're just simply going to allow the clients to go buy their new home first, and then you would have up to 6 months to sell their old house. So it's much smoother, and we're just building a bridge that for everyone that works in the transaction. So Jordan already alluded to some of this. Something cool about our bridge loan is that everyone gets to do what they're already great at. We handle the bridge loan transaction. Jordan is still the quarterback handling the purchase mortgage, and you're still the agent on the transaction, oftentimes on both ends of the deal. So we're all going to work together to get your clients into their new home way faster and way smoother. And the secret sauce that makes it all work is our first of its kind purchase offer. So before I dive into how the purchase offer works, I want to tell you a little bit more about how the Knock Bridge Loan works so that I'll show you how the purchase offer comes into play and it will all make sense. So I like to say that with knock, we're just giving your clients access to a portion of the equity in their home like it's already been sold. They are able to use the funds that we advance them for down payment. They could do closing costs. They could renovate their house to help spruce it up. They could pay off debt, and there's a ton of other stuff that we'll get into. But in addition to us advancing funds, we're also going to make an offer on their house, guaranteeing that the purchase of the property, if for some odd reason it was unable to sell on the open market in 6 months. So it is very unlikely that we will ever end up buying your client's house. The main reason we have that offer in play is number one, now Jordan doesn't have to count your client's mortgage against them in the debt to income ratio. So they could now qualify for more house. And number two, we've removed the sales contingency. So they are 4 times more likely to get their offer accepted on that new home purchase. So you're giving your clients the competitiveness of a non-contingent offer. They have certainty that their house is going to sell. And also, they have now the convenience to be able to move on their own schedule. So you're really offering your clients more peace of mind, right? Clients hate showings. I'm sure you guys know this already. They hate the double moves, they hate short-term rentals. So what we want to do is eliminate all of that stress, all of that cumbersome stuff, and get them into their new house first. So Jordan will take care of that purchase. And then the clients get their new home, and you now get 6 months to sell a vacant house and possibly stage it. And we know that typically has more favorable outcomes. And as I was alluding to in the last slide, it's very unlikely that we would end up buying your client's house. Since we launched the product in 2020, we bought a total of 6 homes. So, and that's out of thousands of transactions, over 10,000 transactions, and we bought 6 homes. So it's very unlikely we will buy that house, but we'd like to provide a safety net in that odd event that that happens. Benefits of the bridge loan. We could give your clients access to up to $1 million of equity, or we could go up to 75% LTV. And this is all at 0% interest, guys. So crazy thing, they could get $1 million in equity, 0% interest, and there's no income or asset qualifications needed as well, which is really cool. Excludes your mortgage, your client's mortgage debt from the DTI. And then, as I mentioned, you could use the funds for down payment, closing costs. You could pay off debt with it, credit cards, car loans. Last year, a lot of folks used it for student loans just because it came back into play while folks were in the middle of purchasing. So you could use it to eliminate that debt and reduce your debt to income ratio. We also give you access to funds for moving expenses because you always need money when you are moving. But an agent favorite for us is the home prep funds. Clients could get up to $35,000 that they can use to renovate and stage or spruce up their house. Um, I had a real life client one time, 2 years ago at this point. She was trying to move from Maryland to Georgia because her husband had recently passed. Unfortunately, she had to go to Georgia to be closer to her daughter. But the problem was she had lived in her house over 20 years and she was a cat breeder, and the agent was not having the most success getting their house, sold. So that's where we were able to come into play. We helped the client purchase her house in Georgia. And then the agent now got to work in her magic, fresh new coat of paint, new carpets. The house ended up selling about $15,000 over list. And that's exactly the outcome that we're looking for with the bridge loan, because we do know that those minor cosmetic updates, fresh coat of paint, new carpets, can help a house sell for more and about 30% faster. So now let's talk about the cost of the bridge loan, because I know you guys are like, this sounds great, but how much is it going to cost me? Great news is that there is zero cost to your commission. There's zero cost to Jordan's commission as well. If structured appropriately too, it could be zero cost to your client as well. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we got to that. We do charge a one-time flat fee of 2.25% on the list price, not the final sales price. It's important you know that it's on the list price, and I'm going to tell you why in 5 seconds. And then we're going to collect $1,850 to cover the closing cost as well. Now, as I mentioned, there's zero payments on this, and there's 0% interest. Now, I mentioned that also the client sometimes can pay $0 in our bridge loan, and that's because their fee is actually on the list price. We don't dictate the list price. That's totally up to you and the clients to decide what the list price is going to be. So if a house is worth, you guys know that it's worth 330 and you choose to list it for 300, if it sells for 330, essentially you've covered the cost of the bridge loan. So when the clients have ample time, the 6 months to sell and access to tools to renovate the house, I mean, you could see how they sell for above list more often than not. So that's a great way to make up that cost. And then I know sometimes the 2.25% fee can be scary to clients and agents. I get it. So I put aside some statistics that we've used to help these numbers make sense for not just you, but the clients as well. So the reason we have a fee of 2.25% is because we've looked at data and that typically when you are contingent on the sale of your house, the client's offer typically has to be 3 to 6% above list in order to be competitive. So that's going to cost more than knock, and that's actually coming out of the pocket of your clients. And then we know that a lot of times the main reason why a client's home isn't selling as quickly is because the client's still living there. I mean, their picture is still on the wall. So one of the benefits of the bridge loan is by allowing them to move into the new home first, you now get to work your magic as an agent and help that house sell for top dollar. And then we know that those improved and staged homes can sell for up to 15% above list. So there's a couple of different ways that you are actually able to make up the cost of the bridge loan and use the knock bridge loan itself to save your clients money or even make money on that purchase. So I talked a lot about how the bridge loan works, and I want to help you identify the right clients. Super simple. It's just three people. They have to meet three criteria. They have to have a house to sell. They have to have equity in their home. My rule of thumb is that the client should have at least 30% equity for it to make sense. That's for Jordan to figure out. And then the clients have to also be ready to buy a house. So if a client has a house to sell, they have equity, and they are ready to buy a house, you're going to want to reach out to Jordan. And the reason why is because Jordan can do this. I'm going to show you what Jordan can do when he gets a client from you. So do you guys see my screen with the Knock website? Great. So you come to Jordan, you have a client. He's able to, well, let me go back actually. So you should see there's three different choices: lender, agent, and home buyer. First things first, the reason you want to go to Jordan is because he's able to go through the lender section, and he's actually able to get numbers. And if you submit a client's property on the agent section, you get no numbers. You have no idea how much they could potentially qualify for. Same thing if you enter it as a client. But because Jordan has an NMLS ID, let's just say you guys referred a client that lived at this property. He can enter their property address, talk to the client to figure out how much they owe and how much they're paying for their mortgage payments. He will also figure out what the estimated list price is going to be from you as well, and what the new home purchase price is going to be. So Jordan, I'm gonna run this as you. I already put it to the side, your stuff. So 1 second. Jordan, do you know your NMLS off the top?
Yeah, it's 217
One
eight
second, one
three.
second, one second, one second. I'm just, what was that? 217?
Yep, 8377.
8377. Thank you, sir. And what's your phone number? It's like 763, right?
706 7789.
All right, so Jordan, the key thing is that Jordan has an NMLS ID. And he's also partnered with Guild, one of our preferred partners. So when he hits this submit button, this is what he's going to see on his screen. So boom, it's going to give Jordan an instant estimate to see how much your client could potentially qualify for that new home purchase. So in this example, Jordan is able to qualify your clients for approximately $154,000 of equity that they could access at 0% interest. From that equity that we've advanced, we already collect our fee, so the client never has to pay us anything out of pocket. So that 2.25% of the list price, it's already collected from the money we're advancing and the closing costs as well. So these closing costs are recording and title fees. So it may be a little bit more or a little less, depending on where you live, but we just say 1850 for now. And then these 6 months of mortgage payments that you see here, this is your client's mortgage payments over the past 6 months. We're just going to advance it to them because a lot of clients struggle with carrying two mortgages at once or paying it. So now they don't have to worry about that. We've already put aside money for them to cover their mortgage payment until their house sells. If their house sells in a month, if you sell their house in a month, they keep the difference. And again, there's 0% interest as well. We also have another product. I'm not going to go too much into this one, but just know that we have another product that we can just pay off your client's mortgage if need be. Jordan knows about it. If we need to use that solution, just know that he has access to it. But for the most part, the deals you're going to be working with Jordan on, he's going to use our regular bridge loan product, and it works just fine. So in this scenario, after our fee is deducted, the closing cost, and we've given the clients their 6 months of mortgage payments in advance, they have about $135,000 that they are able to use for down payment on the new home, closing costs, they could pay off debt or renovate their house. And they're now able to go in non-contingent, and they're 4 times more likely to win that offer on the new home purchase. So I've said a lot. I want to see what questions you may have, or if you want to
I'll
chime in, Jordan.
I'll chime in real quick too. Looking at these numbers, I moved recently and we got a quote for movers. It was $15,000 to hire movers. We're eliminating any need to, move twice, that sort of thing, or like you mentioned before, short-term rentals and that type of thing. When we look at the knock fee and then realize that you're removing or advancing the 6 months of payments, that kind of almost pays for it in itself. So yeah, the 2.25% can feel scary right away, but then when you zoom out and review all the numbers, it's pretty awesome. One thing I like is you can pay off debt too. So on my end, when we're using knock and somebody has a departing residence, it's as easy as unchecking their current mortgage payment. Then any debts that we're going to use, or excuse me, any debts we're going to pay off from these funds, I just uncheck them and I see their DTI drop, which means they're going to be able to be pre-approved for more. So I think it's really powerful. And 5 minutes before we hopped on this call, I got a random call from somebody that just got under contract because two people fell out of contract ahead of him. The house has been on the market a long time. They both fell out of contract because they were contingent and they couldn't sell. They were still living in the house. And lucky for, my new buyer, he is now under contract. But if those agents would have been connected and had the solution, they would have won the deal. So I think this is really cool. I'm excited for it.
100% agree. What questions do you guys have? Does it all make sense? Anyone have the typical question I usually get is what happens if the house doesn't sell in 6 months? Does anyone have that question?
I kind of have that question, but I also am curious. I'm very much like an example type learner. Can you
Mhm.
like run through this? Like, I know there's a lot to it, but like kind of simply to understand, like, okay, the seller's gonna pay, like, let's just say 6% paying the buyer and buyer's agent and seller's agent, and then like, do you add that 2.25 on top? Like, what does their closing costs look like? Like, all in all, like all of those things, like kind of from start to finish. And
I understand. So the knock fee isn't, I guess you would say it's included or added on top of it, but it's more so about what we're trying to unlock and how we're trying to save your clients money in other ways. But we're going to make the money the same way that you will from when the house is sold. That's when we're paid. So that is going to be an additional cost to your commission already as well. But the whole thing is that they're getting the benefit of going in non-contingent and they're now going to be more likely to win that house. Closing costs, and your question on closing costs, we estimate approximately 1850. It all just depends on where you live, but it's title and recording fees. That's what our closing costs are. So it may be less than this 1850, or it may be a little bit more, but ultimately it's all in your county.
And then from just like a strictly transactional perspective, when you're writing up the offer, well, actually, let me back up further. When I get somebody pre-approved and we determine somebody is eligible for this, I can kind of just look at these bottom lines here, estimated funds for the new home, as an asset, just like a bank account. So we're going to use that to qualify for purchasing the next home. So when we do our pre-approval, now it's non-contingent and they can do, let's say 20% down. Um, and you'll write up their offer to buy that next house, non-contingent. They can move in once we close. So it would be the normal closing fees for that purchase, plus the bridge loan fees right here. Those would be kind of all in that same week. And then they have 45 days to move into their new house and then list their existing house.
Correct.
And that's the other power of, not having those monthly payments. And then things just look the same on the tail end with the listing. You just have that time for them. Does that all sound accurate, Elisa?
Yeah, that's correct. Does that help, Tian? Oh, and about the thing about what happens if the house doesn't sell in 6 months. In the odd event that that happens, our offer is typically around 75 to 80% of market value, but the clients get that offer up front. They know they're going to know before they even decide to move forward. So they get to make an informed decision. But again, our whole thing is that we don't want to buy the house. That offer is just there to make them non-contingent and allow Jordan not to count their mortgage against them in the DTI.
I have a question with that too. Who decides the market value?
Knock is going to, great question. So Knock is going to determine our market value from a combination of two factors. Excuse me. The first way, we've already kind of given a hint right here. So we're going to run an AVM on what Jordan is going to get an idea of what the fair market value we're predicting is already. So in this instance, it says 339,174. Now, when it was asking me about the estimated list price, I said 350, but our AVM is coming in about $10,000 less. Now, the second component of how we're going to get our value are through photos of the property. Sometimes the AVM is not going to know, well, most times it's not going to know if the clients have done any work on the house or if it's renovated, right? So when they submit photos, after looking at the photos, if they've done some work to it, it's possible we could actually go back to that 350 number that we listed. Or if on the other hand, the client got a bunch of holes on the wall, then it's probably going to be a lesser offer. So ultimately, our market value is going to be decided from those two factors, the AVM and the photos, and the client will know up front.
Are you doing like a full CMA though, per neighborhood, per city? How sales have been in the last year, or are you just using those two factors right there?
Just those two factors. Our AVM goes off of historical data, and then the photos will let us know what the property looks like currently. So no like appraisal or inspection, just those two.
That's huge. That's huge from what I've seen in other programs to have no appraisal, no walkthrough. And the other thing for, when I do compare other programs is we can do quick approvals, like Elisa just showed us. I know other programs, you might be looking at 2 weeks to even get somebody approved for a program, and then to find out after the inspection, we can't do it. So this is very, we're keeping the momentum going. And one of the ways that I see this becoming really key is if you're doing open houses and you have that buyer that walks through that they love the house, they haven't even started looking with anybody, they just happen to drive by it. They're not signed with anybody, but they have the house to sell. Well, we can keep that momentum going and be like, all right, let's get you pre-approved. We have a program specifically designed for your situation, but you just signed that client as a buyer and a seller right there. And I'm sure that I sat in a couple of open houses to know that that happens, but I'm sure it will happen this spring. Absolutely.
100%. And also to add on to what Jordan has said as well, something that Knock does that no other program does is that we do not charge for our pre-approval. Like it doesn't cost your client anything to get pre-approved and get that offer letter from Knock saying that they're non-contingent. Now, there are some instances, it happens maybe once or twice every month where someone gets pre-approved with Knock and then they take our offer, win an offer on another house, win the offer on the purchase, and then immediately list their house. And then they get lucky and they sell their house now before Knock would close. At that point, you wouldn't need us anymore. I will be sad because obviously we want to get the loan, but if that happens, that's totally fine. We will not penalize you, which is super crazy because you got to imagine we've gone through the work of reviewing the property, getting the pre-approvals and everything done, and you just didn't need us. So definitely do not overuse it, but it is something that is available to you through Jordan, where you could just go get your client pre-approved and they're going in non-contingent now.
That's awesome. And one thing too for everybody, I will have flyers. So what I would recommend is, the flyer that I have has a lot of bullet points. I would put that in your listing presentations as well and have some handy because if you're going up against other agents to compete for a listing, you've now opened up the market to all those people that are contingent compared to somebody else who's just like, we're gonna, try our best. I don't know how the listing presentations usually go, but I would imagine that that would be a determining factor to help set you apart. Wonderful. Any other questions?
Anything about credit scores? Do you look at any of that? Does that matter?
Great question, Paul. We do, but not in a traditional sense. The client just has to have one credit score of 620. It doesn't have to be their middle score. So if like two scores are 580 and one score is 620, that's all we need. Just one score. But that's a great question. But just a 620 credit score, no income, no assets. We're simply just qualifying them on like their equity percentage and the marketability of their home.
They're self-employed. Is that okay?
Yeah, we don't look at income.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and what I'll do too, usually it will start off with me. I'll do my pre-approval meeting and, Elisa might not like this as much, but we want to do what's best for the client, right? So if they can qualify for two payments at the same time and offer contingent that way, excuse me, not contingent, we're going to do that. We can do a 5% down, get them to move in, list their house, and then recast any proceeds into the new home. We can totally do that, but that's not always the case, just from an affordability standpoint. So that's where this will come into play. So I'll already have their pre-approval ready. It's just how are we going to use those funds to make it as smooth as possible. Wonderful. Well, we can wrap it up early if nobody else has questions. Thanks for hopping on. I hope this helps a ton. And if you have questions, reach out to me and we'll get this rolling.